I had thought the nightmare was over. I had spent the entire night outside, watching my house like a hawk until the sun rose, trembling, heart racing, telling myself I was safe once daylight hit. But when my parents returned that morning, the house seemed normal. Too normal. The front door opened easily. The living room looked untouched, the kitchen exactly as I'd left it. I tried to convince myself I was overreacting, that my fear had made me imagine the messages, the figure, the whispers in the dark. But deep down, I knew it wasn't imagination. By the time I went to my room, I tried to laugh it off, but my phone sitting on the bed froze my laughter midair. The screen lit up with one last message from the unknown number: "I'll be waiting tonight." My stomach turned over, bowel rising, as I realized the nightmare wasn't over. I spent the day avoiding my room, pretending to watch TV in the living room, trying to convince myself that rational thinking could protect me. But every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of wind through the windows, made my body stiffen. I knew what I had to do. I had to prepare because it wasn't going to wait for me to feel safe. Night fell quickly. The sun disappeared behind the mountains, and the house seemed to exhale darkness, swallowing every corner. I locked every door and window I could find, even double-checking the garage, the basement, every possible entry point. I shoved knives and blunt objects near my bed, anything to defend myself. My parents were gone again for a late-night dinner with friends, leaving me alone again. And I knew, without a doubt, that it would return tonight. Around 11:15 p.m., I heard it, the faint dragging sound from downstairs. Tap, tap, tap. It wasn't subtle this time. It was deliberate, louder, coming closer. My pulse spiked, adrenaline flooding my veins. I grabbed my flashlight and my father's baseball bat, creeping silently down the hallway. I couldn't turn on any lights. The moment I did, it might see me, or worse, know exactly where I was. The living room was empty. Nothing had moved. I took a shaky breath and headed to the kitchen. The same chair that had been slightly out of place the previous night was again pulled forward. How? I hadn't touched it. My hand shook as I pushed it back, every instinct screaming to leave, to run out into the cold night. Then I heard it, the unmistakable sound of slow footsteps upstairs. Step, step, step. Each one dragging, echoing through the silence, closer to my bedroom. My mind raced. I should run, call for help, do anything, but I was frozen, rooted to the spot by fear. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch toward me, darkness bending unnaturally, like it was alive. My flashlight flickered as I slowly raised it, scanning the walls, the ceiling, and then movement. A figure was there, just at the threshold of my hallway. Its head tilted unnaturally, limbs jerking in ways that no human should. I could feel its presence, the weight of it pressing down on my chest. I couldn't see its face, only darkness where it should have been, and a whisper seemed to slither through the air. "Why are you hiding?" I stumbled backward, tripping over the rug, my flashlight clattering to the floor. The beam bounced, landing on the walls and revealing more shadows, moving, twisting, forming shapes that should not exist. My heart was hammering, my breath ragged, every instinct screaming at me to run. And I did. I bolted up the stairs, slammed my bedroom door, and locked it. But I could hear it. Footsteps, breathing, scratching against the other side of the door. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking violently, and for the first time I tried to call someone, anyone. The line was dead. No dial tone, only static, faintly forming words that sounded like it was mocking me. "You can't escape." I backed away from the door, realizing that no lock, no barricade, no weapon could save me. And then, from the corner of my room, I saw it, a shadow moving across the wall, stretching toward me, impossibly fast, impossibly tall. I screamed, dropping everything, and the shadow stopped abruptly, freezing like it was considering me, watching me, studying me. And then I heard it again, louder, clear, closer than ever, right outside my bedroom door. "Come play." I couldn't stay in my room any longer. The shadow outside my door was patient, waiting, dragging the air with a sound that made my skin crawl. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but the hallway was a trap. There was no safe corner, no exit I could reach without being noticed. I grabbed the baseball bat and slowly opened the door, just enough to peek out. The hallway was empty, or so it seemed. The darkness stretched unnaturally, walls bending slightly, elongating toward me as if alive. I forced myself to step forward, one trembling foot after the other. I had to reach the living room, had to escape, but the moment I moved, I felt it, a pressure, heavy and suffocating, like an invisible hand pressing against my chest, slowing my heartbeat, making every breath a struggle. I stumbled into the living room and froze. There, in the center of the room, was a figure, not fully solid, but not completely transparent either, just a dark silhouette with limbs that bent at impossible angles. Its head tilted unnaturally, and I swear I could hear a low, guttural laugh vibrating through the walls. My flashlight flickered, and in that split second, it lunged at me. I screamed and swung the bat, but it passed through the shadow like it wasn't solid, and the air hit me like a physical blow. Panicked, I ran toward the back door. Locked. I tried the front door, also locked. The windows wouldn't budge. I was trapped. Behind me, the dragging footsteps returned, echoing closer and closer, faster now, accompanied by whispers. You can't leave. You belong here. I fell to the floor, crawling, trying to hide behind the couch, but it was too fast. Shadows stretched across the walls, moving independently, converging toward me. I grabbed my phone, hoping, praying it would work this time. Dial tone. I called 911, barely able to speak, telling them I was being terrorized by something that shouldn't exist. The operator asked questions, but before I could answer fully, the phone was ripped from my hands, thrown across the room by some invisible force. I backed into a corner, watching as the shadows started taking forms, shapes that reminded me of human figures, twisted, broken, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. And then one of them spoke clearly, a voice that sounded like my own, distorted and hollow. "Lucas, don't fight it. Come with us." Terror overtook me, and I did the only thing I could think of. I ran toward the basement, hoping to hide. The stairs groaned under my weight as I descended, darkness swallowing me whole. I could hear the whispers all around, soft, cold, dripping in my mind like poison. You can't hide. We're everywhere. At the bottom of the stairs, the basement light flickered on by itself. Boxes, tools, old furniture, all rearranged. And in the center of the room, standing perfectly still, was a figure, my mother. Or at least, it looked like her. But her face was wrong, twisted into a permanent silent scream, eyes hollow and black. She, or it, raised a hand, pointing toward me, and whispered, "Welcome home, Lucas." I screamed, trying to run back upstairs, but the stairs stretched farther than they should have, the hallway twisting impossibly, doors appearing where there weren't any before. I felt myself being pulled into the darkness, the whispers filling my ears, the walls closing in. And as I fell, I caught a glimpse of my bedroom window from the basement, a faint shadow standing there, watching, waiting, and then everything went black. I woke up hours later in the living room, disoriented. The front door was open. Sunlight was streaming in. My parents were gone. The house looked normal again, but I knew it wasn't over. The shadow had left for now, but it had marked me, and I could feel it. Watching, waiting, always. And then my phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. A single message appeared. "Tonight, you can't hide."